If you've ever looked at yourself after a narcissistic relationship and thought, I don't recognise who I've become and I actually feel brain damaged, then this video is going to hit very deep, because narcissists don't just hurt you emotionally, they steal your identity. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, in very psychological, behavioural and social ways. They absorb your traits, they mirror your values. They adopt your language, they take credit for your achievements, they reshape how others see you, and they rewrite history to centre themselves. And over time, you become smaller and they become more like how you used to be. Hi, I'm Indy Landsman. I'm a life coach specialising in codependency and trauma recovery. Over the past 30 years, I've studied human potential, energy, frequency and vibration, and the emotional patterns that disconnect people from their soul and their authentic self. After surviving many narcissistic relationships and watching my world collapse, I had to rebuild myself from the ground up while still under narcissistic attack. Through that process, I discovered the powerful truths about identity, resilience, and the spiritual nature of who we are, and the dark forces that keep sensitive, empathic people from stepping into their power. Now, I've put some of that foundational work into a free guide if you're interested in it. It's the 4 core needs narcissists depend on and how to break free. If you haven't downloaded it yet, the link will be in the description below. And in that guide, I'll explain the 4 core needs that the narcissist depends on, which is the foundation of why they steal identities in the first place. So let's go deeper into that subject today. Most people think of identity theft as being someone who copies your bank details or pretends to be you online. But narcissistic identity theft is more subtle. It looks like copying your interests and your hobbies, adopting your opinions, mirroring your beliefs, using your phrases, even dressing like you, taking on your lifestyle and claiming your successes, until eventually people start saying, you two are very alike. And that's not because they're becoming like you, it's because they're trying to become you. So why? Why are they doing this? This behaviour, identity theft, is connected to one of the core 4 needs that a narcissist needs. And what that core need in particular is character traits. They want to become you. They're not comfortable in their own skin. They want to be you. And you would think that they want to be you because they admire you. But actually, what's the underlying feeling for a narcissist is they have pathological envy over you. I barely know any narcissist who doesn't struggle with pathological envy of the people that they're around. If only they knew that we were looking at them at first as decent people, they wouldn't really need to be envy of us. But that is the underlying driving force behind one of their core 4 needs, and it's a very important one. This is one of the most painful and confusing parts of narcissistic dynamics, and for people it's the missing piece that finally makes everything click. Pathological envy means a narcissist cannot tolerate someone having something that they don't have, or something they can't create, or something they can't sustain, or something they can't become. Whether that might be your confidence, your success, your happiness, your emotional depth, your loving relationships, your talent, your beauty, all the work that you put in for personal growth. Instead of feeling inspired by you and realising that you put work into that, they're threatened by you. Your achievements don't make them proud. If, say, example, it's your parent or it's a partner, your achievements don't make them proud, they make them feel inadequate. Your happiness won't bring them any joy. It's actually quite the opposite. It'll bring them rage. Your growth doesn't motivate them. It actually destabilises them. They're in constant competition all the time. And this is where identity theft becomes strategic. If they can take credit for your achievements, claim your relationships and steal your traits, present your growth as theirs, then they no longer have to feel inferior. This realisation took me years to understand. And for the longest time, I believed that my mother simply just didn't understand me, or that she was just wounded or emotionally unavailable. But the truth was actually far darker. She was jealous of me. Seeing me happy was not on the agenda. A story that really stands out for me was in my younger years. I was deeply involved in the world of horses as a young child and adult. The hobby and my love for animals kept me on the straight and narrow, and the love that I received from animals hugely compensated for the lack of love that came from both of my parents. One day during my study leave, I decided to give my own horse a day off. It was the family horse. A day off from being worked. She was an old girl and I was working her every day. Working, I mean, exercising her. And she was old, so she didn't need to be worked every day. One particular day, a friend at that yard asked me to exercise their horse as they were busy at work, and I happily agreed. I may have been, I was doing my exams then, so I was 15, 16, I suppose. When this friend approached my mother to ask if I could help out more because she was thrilled about my connection with her horse and my ability to work with it, instead of being proud, it quickly turned into a full-blown argument on the way home from being at the stable yard. Suddenly I was accused of neglecting our horse or being ungrateful or not appreciating what I had. Looking back as an adult now, I can see what was really happening. She didn't like it that I was a skilled rider. There was no pride in my achievements, it was just merely resentment. When other people praised me, she redirected that praise to herself. Not because she wanted to support me, but because my success made her feel inferior. I still struggle to comprehend how a mother can be jealous of her own daughter, but this was one of my first realizations that my mother was not like many other mothers out there. She didn't seem to have a maternal instinct or joy in seeing her child succeed. Instead, what I see was pathological envy. It wasn't mild jealousy, it was deep, corrosive, identity-level threat response. And for narcissists, the solution is simple. If they can't become who you are, they will try and destroy who you are and steal your identity instead. So rolling forward, 15 years later, when I broke into pieces because of my narcissistic relationships that I was in, mirroring the relationships that I had as a child, my mother took this as a chance to step in and finish me off. That's how it felt. I mean, I had a mother who literally at points drove me to suicide for the coldness and the unlovingness of this woman and the sheer depth that she went to when I ended up having a bit of a breakdown. Has she literally just come along and finished the job off by poisoning my daughter. Obviously, my daughter did come away for her own reasons. She did see plenty of boyfriends and arguments. She still to this day doesn't fully understand narcissistic dynamics. She completely doesn't know anything about my relationship with my mother. I was very respectful towards my mother around my daughter as to not bring up any kind of bad vibes about my mother at all, because I wanted my daughter to have a relationship with her grandparents, but that respect was definitely not mirrored back to me. As soon as I had some weakness in my life and I fell apart, this was my mother's potential to come in and to swipe in and become the surrogate mother. To the point, if you watch my previous video, which I'll link here somewhere, she actually went around and told people that I didn't even bring my daughter up. After 20 years of the whole entire extended family seeing that that was not the case. So I'm hoping that that lie went just a step too far. But I ended up coming away from that family. I have no contact with my mother now and have been for maybe 20 years. But slowly but surely, she managed to poison my daughter against me, because my daughter only ever see my destruction. She didn't see how that was being cultivated in the background, and she has no clue why I couldn't walk away from these relationships and how I was just literally imitating the relationships that I had with my parents. So if you're interested to understand the 4 core needs, they're really helpful. Once you get them under your belt and you memorize them, you'll be able to see these roll out in every relationship, and it's going to make your life a little bit easier and the capacity to walk away when you realise that you've just been sucked into a pattern of destruction, and that you can stop questioning yourself, because these are core needs that are worldwide. It doesn't matter what culture, these narcissistic traits are the same worldwide, from our families doing it to up to the elite and how the systems run itself. They're exactly the same needs: control, fuel, personal gains, and your identity. They're all in the guide. So if you want to download the guide, the link is in the description below. In extreme cases, they don't just borrow your traits, they try to steal your identity entirely. For example, in my case, my mother couldn't love her own daughter. And when my extended family began commenting on what a beautiful, intelligent young woman my daughter had become, she's 30 now, my mother started telling them that I didn't even bring my daughter up. Because she wanted the praise being directed towards her, and she felt threatened because at that point, that comment was directed at me bringing my daughter up. So that was squashed by my mother claiming that I never brought my daughter up. But everybody there knew that that was an absolute lie. My daughter lived with me and was raised by me and stayed with me until she was 20 years old. My mother may have done some babysitting here and there when she was young and dependent, but that was the extent of it. So when I challenged my parents on this preposterous claim about, how can you say I didn't even bring my own daughter up? All their response could be was, well, when we were babysitting, we didn't know where you were. To which I replied, well, you drive past my car in the driveway, so you do know. That response tells you everything. There's no logic behind what they're saying. They weren't trying to clarify anything. They were trying to rewrite the reality in a way that made them look good. They wanted the admiration, the praise, and the credit. She wanted to be seen as the caring grandmother, not the person who failed her own child. And just for reference, my mother did absolutely nothing for me as a child. She barely did anything as a mother. She didn't love her own husband, she didn't care for her children, she didn't wash our clothes, she didn't feed us, she didn't clean the house, she didn't do our homework with us, she didn't even really want to collect us from school. I can tell you actually, she didn't even want to name me. My name was pulled out of the page 3, which used to be, I think it still is now, I'm not sure, the topless women out of the Sun newspaper, and the first topless model my mother could find in that paper, by just literally opening it, finding this first female name, that became my name. As a mother now, I couldn't even imagine going through pregnancy and not even wanting to think about what I wanted to name my child. I find that so impersonal and really shows where my mother was when she was actually having children. Because I often question why she bothered having children, because she had no love for them. But I've been around narcissistic young parents now, and I've seen it was a beautiful education for me, because it answered that question for me. And that question is that the child that I'm talking about now is a trophy for that narcissist. So I think my mother, in a hope, felt that she could just go around parading this young child, aren't I amazing, I'm a young mum, and get attention from that. Obviously, when times got tough, and then she had 2 children, I think she did that so that we could entertain each other, so she didn't have to be involved. Honestly, I'm not over-exaggerating here. She showed zero interest in me whatsoever. Zero. And now all of a sudden she's all over my daughter. It's so fake, it's unbelievable. And the only reason my daughter doesn't know any of this is because I wouldn't speak badly about my mother or father when I was around. That's the only reason that problem exists, and that I don't get the opportunity to speak to my daughter now about that. So they do this slowly, this identity theft. They do it slowly, strategically, and with purpose. So they might start mirroring your personality back to you. They'll start adopting your beliefs. They'll take credit for your strengths, as I've said, and they rewrite history. And most importantly for them, they isolate you from people who know the truth. See, I've been isolated as the scapegoat child in this family because I'm the oldest child in the family, and I have a very open dialogue about what's going on. I'm a threat to that system. I wasn't going to tolerate being the scapegoat. I was going to make sure that we went back to the root of the problem, because in my eyes, that's how you cure a problem, is you get to the root of it. But you got to remember that my family, despite me being the one who's judged, none of them work on themselves. None of them have done a day's personal growth in their life. And they are not prepared to look at their own part in the family. Everything has to be, she's the problem, which I kind of hope with my extended family, a few of them, especially my cousins, because there's a lot of us that have been thrown out of the family, devalued, discarded by my mother's siblings. There's a real pattern of 6 of them doing this. In fact, I did count, there was 13 of us children that had been outcasted from the family. And the whole family, the whole extended family, they are just fighting each other all the time. It's ugly and it's toxic. But apparently I'm the problem, which is interesting because I'm now out of that relationship with that family, and it still revolves around exactly the same way. And as I said, I've never seen one of them do a day's personal growth work at any point at all. So I refuse to take the blame, but if then from the scapegoat I then become the invisible child where I'm not around, then it doesn't matter, does it? They can tell everybody what they want, but here I am. I'm on YouTube, so I get to tell thousands of people about what's going on. So I'm a resourceful girl. I'll make sure that things get resolved one way or another. Anyway, until you eventually, for a while, you're going to doubt your own identity, and you're going to feel more, they are going to feel more like you do. They're going to absorb your style, your traits, your achievements. They're going to present their ideas as your own. I even had one narcissist who wanted my business, my house, and my car. So it wasn't just my traits, but the material parts of my life that reflect my identity and stability. And that is one of the 4 core needs, personal gains, that you'll also find in the guide if you're interested to find out a little bit more about what is it they want. Because you're going to find that I'm going to be one of the only people that are on YouTube who are not going to turn around and go, you attract them, because I know the whole world is fucking full of them. So they're everywhere, okay? What I'm here for is to show you how to restrict access to your energy to people who don't deserve it. It's not about protecting yourself, because that comes from a place of inferior and that you're lower and that you're under threat. No, I want you to step into your power and understand what gifts that you have that these people are after. Let's flip the script and let's put it the right way round, and let's stop scapegoating all codependent people or empaths by saying that you attract them, because honestly, this world is teeming with them. You will literally have to go and hide out in a desert island somewhere to avoid them. So I did this for years. I went back and worked on myself a little bit more. Even a student said this in the course the other week. I had polished myself so much, like I'm a gleaming effing diamond now. And what about the work they're doing? It's got nothing to do about whether you attract them. You're going to attract them, particularly if you're in any area of humanitarian work or anything where you don't want limelight. I can't be bothered with limelight. I'm not interested in attention and stuff like that. But by doing the humanitarian work, you do by default end up with some of this kind of like attention put on you. And I know that many of the kind of projects that I tried to do that would detox people from the beep, 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 were sabotaged by narcissists who needed detoxing from the beep, 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 beep. Well, in this case, it wasn't the bib, 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 because the people I were detoxing didn't take the bib, bib, bib. We're just being bombarded with this stuff, okay? I'm diverting my video completely. It shouldn't be about detoxing. But what I'm trying to say here is I set up a centre to help people detox from the tech. And to my horror, It was pulled down by, you guessed it, narcissists. And yeah, of course I could start that business up again, but I will refuse to do it around so many toxic people. I'll offer that service to people, but you've got to be someone who's not going to try and tear this down, because that's dangerous. So if you stay in a narcissistic relationship, it's going to start eroding your confidence. You're going to be separated from what is your sense of self. You're going to start becoming very dependent on their validation, because they're going to just gut you of any kind of worth. Your boundaries are going to be weakened, and you're going to be disconnected from who you truly are. You're not just going to lose parts of yourself here, you're going to lose the ability to even remember who you were before you met these people. So it's a real tragedy of narcissistic identity theft, is that if you stay, you become smaller and smaller, while they step into the version of you that the world loved, but they told you it was shit. Get that. They want praise, attention, recognition. You're going to feel exhausted, confused, emotionally shut down, questioning your worth, and feeling like a shell who you used to be. And the more broken that you are, the more superior they are going to feel, because your collapse feeds their ego, and your silence protects their image, and your suffering becomes their evidence that they were right all along and that you're the problem. This is not a misunderstanding, it's not immaturity, it's an intended outcome. It's an engineered destruction of your life. Do you believe that there are humans out there, I don't even know if they are at this point, capable of such destruction? Yes, there is. And it kind of makes sense why this world has gone a little bit wonky, because they are a majority at this point, or they're an active majority, because empaths are crushed on the floor and they're not speaking out. And I really want to change that. We really must see empaths stand up and be truly who they are. When you're down on the floor, you no longer become a threat, so I need you to get up again. Okay, so download that guide. In there you'll get the 4 core needs, not just the one that we covered here. And if you want to go a bit deeper, if this is resonating with you, and you want to go a little bit deeper, I can support you on a full healing journey. If you're ready to put yourself back together, applications will be open for January 2026. Intake for the Healing Blueprint course. This is my online program where I personally guide you through a deep, transformative process. It does take a little bit of work on your end. It is not a course that's just going to explain how bad a narcissist is. That's not going to help you at this stage. This is going to tell you who you are and what you need to do to help to really heal and repair yourself, and find that identity that's been ripped from you, which has been buried by programming that's been put on top of you by other people that know absolutely nothing. Please give yourself this chance and start working on yourself. Looking at videos about narcissists is one thing, but actually doing the work, yoga, breath work, identity shift work, inner child work, detoxing. It's quite an in-depth course, and I will be there to support you, to inspire you, to pick you up when days are bad. And there's a group there of people that are doing it at the same time as you, so you'll meet some real nice community of people that you can actually trust for once, and there's not going to be people that are going to be jealous of what you're doing or try and steal your identity. We'll put you back into a sane environment supported by people like me who've been through this. We can heal together. So if this is something you're interested in, please find the links in the description below. There's one for the guide and there's one for the course. And I'll see you in the next video. La cash.